Hi, everybody. I am very glad you are here today. I have not done a Notebook LM video in a long time, and they just, in the past couple weeks, maybe updated their features. And so I thought I would demonstrate one of them and just remind you that Notebook LM is part of our Google for Education suite. You have complete access to this, and I think it's a really, really great tool. I really enjoy it. As you can see, I create a notebook for almost every unit that I do and share that out to students. Students have access to this. I've actually just given them a little reminder that they have access to it as well, so they could use it as a study companion. I'll give you a 30-second blurb reminder that what I think is the best part of Notebook LM is that it uses only the resources that you ask it to use. It is not going to go out to the internet unless you tell it to start grabbing resources. So for example, this is my notebook for Unit 7 on the Gilded Age, and there are 3 panes here. There's my sources pane, my chat pane, and then this studio pane over here. And this again is the real power of it. You can see the sources that I have asked it to use are only sources that I have provided. So I've got my Google Slides, I've got my Google Docs, I've got a couple videos that I asked the students to watch for homework in the course of it. I have them watch those in Edpuzzle, but I obviously have given the YouTube links here. And so based only on those sources, I can chat with Gemini, essentially is what I'm chatting with here. And I can generate studio materials based on that content. Okay. I don't have to use all the content. So this you can see over here. Oh, maybe not in this one. But if I wanted to say create an explainer video just about immigration in the Gilded Age, I could have just those 3 sources selected and then use my studio resources about just those sources. So I just think that that's the real power of this program, because now with AI going out and grabbing stuff from anywhere, right? And I might not want it to do that. Instead, I want it just to focus on my materials and use those materials to generate content. All right, so that's Notebook LM kind of in a teeny little nutshell. And if you want more help with just getting to know Notebook LM, please let me know. I'm happy to help. But what I think is actually super cool about Notebook LM, and let me go actually to a different notebook. Let me go to this one, because this one I was actually just working on in the last month. And in this one, I wanted to create a slide deck from my slideshow. Basically, like I have a slideshow on this content, but I'm changing things up for next year. And I wanted to be able to, like I'm doing right now, create a video lecture that students are going to watch for homework. And I wanted just to see if Notebook LM could come up with a better slideshow for me to use for that. So I gave it my existing slideshow. So here is my existing slideshow that I used to use in class when I would lecture on this. And I want to like eliminate that day from my schedule and make it homework. Here's also the videos that the students watch from Khan Academy to learn about the 7 Years' War, the battle for North America, and why this set us up for the big so what of this lesson is, how did this set us up for the American Revolution? How does this set us on that road to revolution? So that's my big takeaway for the kids to understand about the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War, of course, as we often call it on our soil. All right, so that's the idea. All right, so it created this slideshow. Now here's what's new is, and let me bounce out and expand the viewer here. So here's the slideshow it created based on my content. So first, like pause point here, it did a pretty good job. Like I was like, oh, okay, Notebook LM, look at you go. I mean, you know, the graphics maybe you could argue are a little bit elementary, but that's fine, right? So here is, and I always talk about, well, what's the so what, right? It's one thing to know the who, what, where, when, but the important thing is the why. So why was this so important, and how did this kind of create this powder keg that we were heading towards revolution? Okay. Here's what's new. Let me get to the point 4 minutes in, right? This revise element here, you can also get to, I thought you could get to it there. I guess not. This revise piece is what's new, all right? So for example, right here on this slide, benign neglect is a really important term. So I might say, please highlight in yellow the term benign. Okay. And it's got one pending change. Now, I don't generate a revised deck yet. Let me see if there's any other key terms. I bet this is talking about the proclamation. It is, please highlight in yellow the phrase the. All right, and that's enough for now, right? So say I wanted to do that revisions, but I could keep going and I could rack up at however many pending changes I want here. And then when I'm done and I have the revisions the way I want them, I ask it to generate a revised deck. I'm going to pause my talking for a minute because I have no idea how long it's going to take to generate this revised slide deck. So once it's ready, I'll come back on and show you what that looks like. Okay, we're back. Super glad I paused us because otherwise we would have sat here and stared at each other for like 5 minutes. So it does take time. Like it is something like, okay, get it. And that's true when you're doing an audio overview or a video overview. You kind of got to let it get started, walk away, come back, and then even sometimes hit the refresh button if it's taking a little bit too long. So just side note. So what you can see now, it does not overwrite my existing, by the way, it didn't take 37 minutes. I just got sidetracked with something else. It does not overwrite the initial one, right? So you make these revisions and it creates a whole new document for you. But all I did is asked it to highlight some key terms in here. Let's see if it did that. I think we did the proclamation. Boom, it did. And then we did benign neglect. Where was that? It was here. There we go. So it did those things that I asked it to change. Now, those are minor changes. I haven't really played with this enough to make huge changes. Like a big change I think I would make is like this key insight. I want that bigger. Like if this were my own slideshow, I would for sure be grabbing a hold of that and making it bigger because it's really, really important that they make that cause effect connection between this event and our revolution. And so I think that I will go through this again and make further revisions, but keeping it pretty simple here. All right, so you get the idea. New feature, but if you haven't played around in NotebookLM, I think it's kind of awesome. I encourage you to play around with it. The things that it can create in the studio are pretty impressive. I especially like the podcasts and I especially like the explainer videos. So a little bit of a plug for those two things, these first two that are right up here. All right, that's all. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. Thanks.